What's up, guys? We're here with Roy. We got second place today at the regionals, the first one of the season. Quite nice, quite nice. Any shout outs you want to give before we dive in?
Lots of shouts out. This is actually my list to play for Nats. I shout out to all the Nats guys that came up, all of our guys at locals, my roommates, Angus, Tyler, Sherwood, Blake, shout out to Josh Kirby for topping Nats. Sadly, we couldn't get there, but he got there. Today, shout out to everyone that showed up today. Also, shout out to Pat, shout out to Team Tom Circus. Been on the channel for a while, but great content. You guys keep tuning in. Probably covers the local scene better than anybody else. So great job there, Pat. Yeah, it was sick turnout today. We did what we feel what we had, and came second, lost some time to Brad. So you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, Lacrimosa Burn's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. Apple and Lacrimosa kind of nuts. So yeah, I'm still on birds. So I played. No, I'm joking.
Not these type of birds. Not these type of birds.
So you know, if we play birds, we still got to start with shifters. It is what it is.
This is a Ritual Beast profile, in case anyone was wondering, by the way.
Yeah, we're on these. So a lot of this engine is non-cuttable. All of these essentially are vital to the deck, or not cuttable at all. So if you see a profile without these, they probably haven't labbed it too much, but you need every single one of these names. I played a little bit weird of a list. Again, this is my list for Nats, so I'm very confident in the list, but there is some check choices. I'll go over that later. So this is kind of just engine you need to have. Optional engine was pedal fin. So there's a lot of calls in the Ritual Beast kind of talk about this or Zephyr, which is kind of another Lara. There's a lot of cool things I was labbing with, Exceed the Pendulum and really cool things you can do with it. I just found this card came up so much, and it actually applies a lot of pressure if you even hard draw it. Like today, I used it multiple times, so like I outed a droplet with it. You can do a really cool play. I actually beat a Runic Stun player by using this. Kind of just like sitting on it for so long in defense. Targeting skill drain, popping my own card so it could dodge skill drain, and then bouncing back to skill drain, and then beating him kind of once I had all my stuff piled up. So it is a card that comes up when it comes to stun matchups, when it comes to just outing weird things that like might come up here and there. Tempi field spell, so you can do things in the main phase. So I personally liked it. I know a lot of people like the other Tamer, but I personally went that way. I was playing Flag and Protoss in my main. Logic behind this was, again, it was for Nats, so I was assuming that hopefully I'd get the top cut at Nats, and this was solely to be top cut. I don't know if I recommend Protoss in the main if you're not looking to know what you're against, if you don't really know kind of what your matchups are. Protoss going second is always amazing. Protoss Blind Call Dark is always good. Protoss Call Fire obviously beats a lot of decks if you know what you're against. Again, I was building this deck in Nats for top cut, so I would kind of know what I'm against. That's why it's in the main. It's actually the 45th card. That's it. And I also was playing the Corridor. Some people were cutting that. Colossus is not the greatest right now, but even hard drawing Corridor, it's as an extender, or hard drawing Corridor, when you don't know what you're against, or against weird things like Runic Stun, or if you know what you're like after you talent somebody and you kind of know what they have, and kind of building your board from there. Like I went into this against Tempi today, it cooked them because I already knew they had like quick play, pot, and field spell, so they just lost after I went into Colossus. If I went into Fire Protoss, you never really know how that would go. Some non-engine. I was playing 3 Book of Eclipse. These are mandatory in my opinion, 3 E-Tellies. I was also playing 3 Inheritance.
So how do you feel with the Book of Eclipse? I know some people are playing it in the branded decks as well, but
it's really good in this deck. The reason why is, like, I'll give you an example. So I'll add some more non-engine into this. So for example, I was also playing 3 Evenlies in the main.
Okay.
And I was playing 3 Imperms. I don't think playing pots in this deck is very good. And the other non-engine is 2 talents and a steed. So the way I built this deck essentially was knowing what you're against. So I'm gonna play against Snake Eye. Most people are ending on Disarray. So against Brad today, even Eclipse Evenly is kind of like Dark Ruler Evenly versus that deck. He has to negate the Eclipse with Disarray, or he loses his Princess ability to kind of like disrupt me on my turn. So he has to negate this, and then I evenly him for everything. So these two are really good together, but the main use of this is actually on your own stuff most of the time. So like when I normal my Hawk, most people don't shotgun an Imperm when they normal summon. I activate effect, they use Imperm or Veiler, you chain Eclipse, flip it down, and it doesn't hinder you at all because you can still contact fuse while they're face down. So that happens a lot. Also, I've done this a lot to dodge Nib. There is a lot of interactions with this that like you just need to play the deck to figure them out, but a lot of them are just like dodging effects, dodging Nib, really good versus Tempi as well. Just like stopping them in the battle phase is kind of crazy when they have to go second when you don't really know what you're against. The 3 Inheritances were kind of iffy. A lot of people are cutting these down to 2 or 1. The logic behind this was like all 3 effects. I know people don't use it to its full potential a lot of the time, but all 3 effects are very relevant. the decreased attack by 200 is very relevant for things like Apple. So it just takes a negate off an Apple.
Yeah, it's
so,
very fair.
So going second, like I played this normal summon, and he had a 2 negate Apple. Now he's on the 1. I baited the Lara, and now he's on no negate Apple, and I just played from there. And like, you can break boards just with that 200 attack, which sounds kind of crazy. And also weird things. I'm playing Mimighoul today.
Deck's wild.
Yeah, very weird. And this actually came up a ton. He ended up banishing this off Fenrir. That's how crazy it was versus that deck. Because the effects only trigger in the main phase. So I was summoning Kanahawk, tagging it out in battle phase, using this to change the battle position of my own monsters in the battle phase, so they didn't trigger the effects. So there's a lot of weird interaction with all this stuff. The talents, again, could be a lot of other things, but I like the talents with the Protoss, because if you know what you're against, if you somehow talents them, and almost always you can get into Protoss, you're just going to win. Again, I went against Tempai, I talanced him after he veiled me, I've seen his hands, and then I went Colossus, and then he just lost. There's a lot of synergies with the cards. Individually, they're okay. A lot of people were playing pots instead of the imperms. Again, you need something, and it's also a breaker if you think of it that way as well, so I wouldn't cut the imperms. I really wouldn't change the list too much, pending the upcoming ban list. Extra deck was also kind of weird. Some things are pretty standard, so 2 Kanahawk, 2 Nochi, Ulti Gaia Pelio, and then I was playing 1 of the Link 4, 1 of the Link 2, and that's basically it for my Ritual Beast lineup. I know some people play multiples of these. In my personal opinion, playing the deck, I almost never banish these for Rampengu. I see what people can do because they need a Psychic, but the Gaia Pelio lines, I don't feel like are as strong as people think they are. I don't summon this that much, so this is almost my card to ditch almost all the time. So this is just my my Beast lineup. Non-engine, I already talked about this, but Colossus was very good. There's multiple times when I play this deck that I ended up having like 2 or 3 Thunders in grave, just by like the way you play the game. And also you can do weird things, like if your lines are weird, where you can use the corridor to link up, and then end up using a Kanahawk to summon this, because it's a Thunder. So you can do really weird things with the deck, but I really like this. Other kind of easel non-engine. These two I don't see it played a ton all the time. Unicorn is actually, it's not a great card, but it comes up a ton when it comes to Protoss. So when you're using Protoss, it's very difficult not to send 2 fire monsters, and you're losing 2 bodies for nothing. So then you can at least link climb into this. You only lose 1 fire body, and then you can link climb into your link 4.
Okay.
A lot of the time, like, again, if you're going into this, I've maybe used the spin effect once this weekend and last weekend. It almost never comes up. It's more just to get the body off the board, so I don't lose 2 monsters when I Protoss for fire. So that's okay. Axis Code came up a lot. IP into Axis Code came up into Runic Stun. This came up today to beat to OTK the Tempai player after I Protossed him, so that came up a lot. These two. This is obvious for playing the Nemesis stuff. It's just an amazing card. Link Spotter, I feel like it's necessary because you get nibbed so much. Yeah, you get nibbed so much in this deck. It's very, very, very difficult in this deck to play through nib when you're under a macro card like Shifter, because you don't. You have to play it weird, and you have to, like, on the 5th summon, you don't really have the banished engrave and stuff like that. So this came up a lot. Just listen to SP. Like, you can just kind of float, kind of like Snake Eye does when they get shifted. You can kind of just float with this. It's not too bad. And aside, I played 2 Bestials. They're okay. Sided them in pretty much always going second versus Snake Eye. They're good versus Voiceless at Nats. They're good versus a lot of things. But
I wish they were drawing TD Crows.
I was testing Crow for a long time. A lot of people knew that. I like them a bit more because also the stuff things like Puppet. Give Puppet is actually decent too. Crow does the same thing as well, but the body does come up every once in a while on your turn, and also being able to search a second one when it versus decks like Voiceless is also not bad as well. Me and kind of most of the other guys were on the Cypher package. Very, very good. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I like Delta a lot. Also, Delta pair with Shifter is really good. Like today, the game I took off Brad that was like, I probably shouldn't have won. I shifted him. He went the typical like IP into SP line, but I Delta'd the field spell. So he ended on nothing. And then I just beat him from there. So again, you don't always want to do this because you may not want to get talents, but once people play against Ritual Beast, a lot of times they side out their talents because they're not expecting hand traps. So then, when people take out the talents, then they play into this. So these are pretty sick. I personally was siding 3 D-Fishers.
This is a royal staple.
Yeah, it's my staple. I love this card, man. D-Fisher, to me, is not always a going first card. It's also a going second card every once in a while, depending on what you're against. It can make decks play weird when they're under it. Again, I pretty much only sided it going first. Again, I'm playing 3 evenly, so it's an easy side in and side out, along with this.
Anti-spell.
Yeah, so siding out one card. Again, anti-spell, I don't think I used it at all in either tournament. It's just kind of logic on the 4 in 4 out, so I mean, it just came up like that. Deep Fisher also makes a lot of decks play weird when it comes to
Card's crazy.
hand traps. So again, like if you don't see shift or whatever, like you're turning off a lot of their hand traps, and then you really only focusing on nib, which makes you like your tunnel vision plays a lot easier. Just one take card. I didn't have a ton of room. Sadly, I kind of wish I played a second take card, but that's kind of it. I was siding 2 Dark Rulers. These are amazing. When I seen them, I didn't see them a ton. Duster for just the random back row decks, and Cowboy. This card's awful. I've never used it. Logic, obviously, you go first game 3, you take a lot of time. It is what it is. It's just that you get to the point almost always where you're like scared of Lacrimosa, you're scared of other things, and they all burn more than this. Like at Nats, I lost to a red Resonator for 3,200. He just passed, and I just couldn't do damage in my main phase because I had this.
Still not enough, yeah.
Yeah, it's not enough. So, I mean, I don't know if I'd play this going forward. I'd never used it. But yeah, that was essentially the list.
And so, yeah, so anything else you want to mention? Like, how do you feel about this deck in this current format?
Yeah, the deck going forward is very strong. I think the tricky part about this deck is barrier to entry. So, like, it's a lot of lines. It's, in my opinion, it's probably the hardest deck in the game to play. But when it comes to this deck, like, a lot of people won't take the time to do it because they're like, oh, I'd rather play a better deck like Snake Eye.
Fair enough.
So going forward, like, if you put the time into the deck, it's definitely worth it. I put a lot of time into learning the lines and not messing up combos and playing optimally. Again, didn't pay off at Nats, paid off here a bit. But I think it is positioned very well going forward. And also, there's not a lot of things that you have to worry about in this deck other than things like Nibiru, things like Droll and Lockbird. And there's ways to play around almost everything. It's just how much you want to hinder yourself doing that. So I think it is positioned very well. I played this deck 10 years ago. I ran it back now. Shouts out to Orlando for giving this back to me after 10 years. Couldn't find it anywhere. And that's about it, guys.
Well, congratulations on your top, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, brother.